Welcome to part 3 of turning this into this. If you want to start back at part 1, click here, or find the link in the description. We left off with me in a panic because gluing the plywood on the face panel did not go well. I took all the weights off of this guy, and honestly, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's also not that great. This piece needs a lot of work. Because we didn't have a table saw, there are spots where the edges aren't flush or don't quite reach. There is glue that leaked out, so I have to sand off glue, sand down edges, and use wood filler to fill in gaps. It's kind of a mess, but I have to do the best I can with what I've got.
Make it work.
While I work, I come up with a backup plan. Worst case scenario, I will ruin it, and I will have to hire someone to make me a new one. The nice thing is, I have the piece, so someone can make me a new one. So while that would be heartbreaking, it would not be the end of the world. The state of the face panel has me feeling a little defeated, so I need a little happy. All the pieces behind me are done. 3 coats of paint and a week of curing time. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the bench together right now. The bench goes together really easily. One bolt that comes out of the leg fits into a metal corner piece inside the bench and is held in place by a washer and a wing nut. And here comes the lid of the bench, which was the first thing I finished in the first episode. Right? Right?
Right? Right?
And then use a little handy ribbon to lift up. And that's where your music storage is. Very stable, no wiggles. The bench is done, peeps. Ta-da! Back upstairs. Now that the paint is finished curing, I can fix the natural wood at the bottom of the piano. You will recall that the painter's tape I used to protect the natural wood from the black paint ended up pulling off some of the varnish.
Oh, no, 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 no!
The only way to fix it is for me to sand it all off and redo it.
Unacceptable.
I decided to hand sand the whole thing, if only to minimize the risk of bumping the fresh black paint, and to keep the mess down as I finally had my office in order, which worked well until... Why would anything be easy? Why? The end piece hand sanded off just gorgeously, but on that center beam, I don't know if there's already some kind of polyurethane or some ass crap in there. I had to resort to my electric sander because it wasn't coming off my hand. It has been coming off in like these hard little pills, which are just shooting everywhere, and I regret everything, but it has to come off, so there's nothing more I can really do. So here we are. Am I taking my rage out on the piano? Absolutely. Is this the 12th time I've had to clean my office because of electric sander dust? Or the 20th? I don't freaking know anymore, and I don't care. It took 40 minutes and 3 sanding pads to get that crap off of there. So this morning, I finished her up. So here's what she looks like. She's all nude. I need a special kind of paint tape. I'm not risking putting paint tape on the black part and then having it pull the paint off. Because I had to use my electric sander in my office. Again, everything is covered with dust. Again, so I have to clean my whole office before I can paint. Special non-stick paint tape in hand, I cover all the black paint and the petals to protect them from the wood stain. I chose a color as close as I could to the original. I'm hoping to just redo this part and still leave the lid alone. Back downstairs to continue working on the face panel. I'm taking my time and really thinking through each issue so I don't make any rash decisions. Even though I do have a backup plan, I really don't want to have to use it. After giving it another good sand down, I add the wood putty where there are gaps that need to be filled, and then leave it to dry overnight. Finished the stain on the foot yesterday. I think 1 layer is plenty. It really looks lovely. Now I'm just going to put 3 layers of glossy polyurethane on it. I put the lid next to the foot to make sure that the stain matched, and it's pretty darn close, but now the lid looks super grungy next to the new shiny wood. So guess what?
All right, buckle up.
That's right, I'm going to have to refinish the lid.
This project will never come to a close.
I will refinish the top and the front, left, and right sides. The back side where the hinges are is a completely different color, so I'm not going to touch that. I'm also not going to touch the underside as I don't want to mess with the logo on the inside.
Glorious!
But first a layer of polyurethane on the piano so it can dry.
Use a natural bristle brush or foam. Guess what I didn't have? Yet another trip to the hardware store, including the cost of the piano and all of the supplies. It's still under $1,000, and I'm custom building my own battle axe, which is what I need to remind myself at times like this. So help me God.
I cut a fresh tarp out of a lawn and leaf bag and get the first coat of polyurethane on the bottom. This part of the piano gets physically kicked a lot because of the pedals, so I'll need at least 3 layers on there. Back downstairs to sand off the wood putty I applied yesterday. It feels pretty smooth, but I really won't be able to tell if there are trouble spots until I paint it, so I decide to just give it a coat and see how it looks.
I just put another coat of polyurethane on the bottom of the piano. That needs about 3 to 4 hours to cure, so I can put the third coat on today. I'm gonna hand sand this whole thing off. This is gonna take a while.
Well, my plan was to sand it all by hand, but you know what happens when you make plans.
So the edges came off just fine, but there is some sort of coating on the top. It could just be 1,000 years of furniture polish. It is being difficult. So I am gonna take it in the garage and do the electric sander on the top.
Even with the electric sander, this stuff is very stubborn, but it's also not beating like the stuff on the bottom of the piano was, so my guess is furniture polish.
And that is exactly why you do not use Lemon Pledge.
Back downstairs to get the wood stain on this piece. Since I'm not doing the underside, I have to quadruple check that I'm not leaving any drips underneath. I can see a change in texture on the face panel between the wood putty and the wood grain, but all I can do to fix it is sand the whole thing down with 600 grit paper and keep going with the 3 coats everyone else got, hoping that layering the paint masks the errors. The 4 squares off to the side are test panels for the stencils I'm planning on putting on the face panel, but I'll have to get to that in the next episode.
Subscribe.